why some people are magnetic, and how to become one of them. There's a person in your life. Maybe it's someone at school. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's someone you follow online. And every time they walk into a room, something shifts. People turn. Conversations pause. Nobody can explain it. They're not necessarily the best-looking person there. They're not the loudest. They're not doing anything obvious. But something about them pulls people in like gravity. That's not charisma. That's not confidence. That's not even personality. That's a managed aura. And the people who have it, they built it. Quietly, intentionally, and most of them don't even realize they're doing it. Because by the time it becomes visible to everyone else, it's already become automatic. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what makes someone magnetic. Not the surface stuff, not smile more or make eye contact. The actual mechanisms, the things happening underneath that everyone feels but nobody names. The first thing you need to understand is this: magnetic people don't try to be interesting. They try to be interested, and that sounds small until you realize how rare it actually is. Think about the last conversation you had. How much of it were you spending thinking about what you were going to say next, instead of actually listening to what the other person was saying? That half presence, that's what most people operate on. And people feel it. They just can't name it. They leave conversations feeling slightly hollow without knowing why. Magnetic people do the opposite. They listen like the person in front of them is the only thing happening. Full attention, full presence. And it makes the other person feel seen in a way they almost never are. That feeling is addictive. And they come back for it. Not because the magnetic person said anything remarkable, because they made someone feel remarkable. The second thing is slower. Magnetic people move slower than everyone else. Not lazily, deliberately. When you're anxious or trying to make an impression, your body speeds up. You talk faster, gesture more, laugh too quickly, fill every silence. It reads as nervous energy, and nervous energy is the exact opposite of magnetic. Magnetic people move through space like they own a little more of it than everyone else. They take a second before they answer. They don't rush to fill silence. They let conversations breathe. This isn't arrogance. It's the physical signal of someone who doesn't need anything from the room, and that, the sense of not needing anything, is the most attractive quality a person can have. The third mechanism is what I call specific noticing. Most people give generic compliments. "You look nice." "That was great." It means nothing because it could apply to anyone. Magnetic people notice specific things. That thing you said about, "I've been thinking about it all week." The way you handled that situation was different from how most people would. Specific noticing tells someone that you actually saw them, not a general version of them, but them specifically. It creates an invisible bond that most people spend years trying to build through shared experience. You can do it in one sentence. The key is that it has to be real. You actually have to notice, which means you actually have to pay attention. Which brings us back to the first point. It all starts with genuine interest. The fourth thing is one nobody talks about. Magnetic people have a point of view on everything. Not loudly, not aggressively, but they know what they think. They have opinions. They make recommendations. When you ask them what they want to eat, they tell you instead of saying, "I don't mind, whatever you want." When someone shares a take, they respond with their actual reaction instead of a safe non-answer. This matters because it creates something to push against, something to agree with, something to remember. People who have no edges, no opinions, no preferences, they leave no impression. They're pleasant and forgettable. A person with a clear point of view is someone you remember even after you've forgotten the conversation. The fifth thing is controlled vulnerability. Magnetic people share the right things at the right time. Not everything. Oversharing too early is a boundary violation that reads as emotionally unstable. Not nothing. Being completely closed off reads as cold and uninteresting. The sweet spot is the willingness to say something true and slightly risky, an honest reaction, a real fear, something they care about that they don't need to perform caring about. It's the difference between, "I've been struggling with that too," said sincerely, and a rehearsed speech about authenticity. People can feel the difference in their bodies. One creates connection, the other creates distance. The sixth thing is the hardest one to learn because it runs against every social instinct you have. Magnetic people are comfortable with other people's discomfort. When someone is upset, most people rush to fix it, to say something that makes it better, to change the subject, to lighten the mood. Magnetic people don't. They stay in it. They let the person feel what they're feeling without trying to fix or redirect it. That capacity to just be present with something difficult, without flinching, without escaping, is almost shockingly rare, and people feel profoundly safe with someone who has it. Here's what all of this adds up to. Magnetic people make other people feel more alive, not because they're performing anything, not because they've memorized techniques, because they've trained their attention outward instead of inward. Most people's attention is pointed at themselves, how they're coming across, what people think of them, whether they're saying the right thing. Magnetic people have moved past that. They're genuinely more curious about what's in front of them than what's reflected back at them. And in a world full of people performing themselves at each other, that kind of presence is not just attractive. It's rare enough to feel like something you've never quite encountered before. You can build this. It doesn't happen overnight. But the starting point is always the same. Start paying attention, actually paying attention to the people in front of you. The rest follows. If this video made you think about something differently, subscribe. I post every week and I never do surface level, only the things worth actually thinking about. Drop a comment with whoever came to mind when I said that person in your life. I'm curious. Stay dangerous.